Congratulations on the film.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Can I ask, you've been working on this now for 7 years. What has that been like, that process?
It's been long. I think the first 4 years before we went into production, though, we were like, Tomm was finishing up Song of the Sea for the first bit, and then we worked on another segment for an animated segment for The Prophet. So we were tipping away at other projects, in the first 4 years as well as developing the script. But really, it just kind of built momentum once we got people involved and invested in the whole project. But yeah, 7 years ago, we sat down at lunch and just started writing out ideas for WOLFWALKERS, and it just gathered momentum from there.
And do you remember what was the first kind of spark, the first idea that created that would become WOLFWALKERS?
Yeah, we had a list of things that we wanted to explore in terms of themes. We've gotten some advice from friends in the industry that a good way to develop a story is to think of all the things you love, all the things you hate, and try and combine them, because that's going to create a lot of passion, conflict, and drama comes from conflict, So we wanted to speak to species extinction and the polarization that's happening in the world when people aren't able to even meet in the middle and have any kind of connection because they're so locked into their ideology. So we liked the idea of exploring this time period where there was this like worldview coming in, the Puritan English worldview coming up against the remains of the kind of pagan Irish matriarchal worldview, and what would happen if two kids from those completely different backgrounds made friends at that time period,
Like it was a like kind of momentous time in Irish history for like a whole scale destruction of like not just the flora and fauna, like a lot of the woods were cut down around that time, and there was this like persistent extermination of wolves until eventually in the next century they became extinct. So it seemed like the perfect era to set the story in.
And it is a beautiful era, and you do definitely show the two sides of it, the human side, which seems to be very muted and dull colors. While when you're in the forest, the colors are lush and absolutely gorgeous. What was it like working with the teams to get that definite, stark difference?
Yeah, we had an amazing team of artists, and they came on board and really got onto the idea of using all the tricks in the visual language that we developed in the previous movies to another level. And we really kind of had a team that were very focused on the forest, the team that were focused more on the town, people that were more interested in printmaking and kind of woodblock prints, which was the reference for the town, people that were really into watercolors and, loose pencil drawing for the forest, and kind of getting those teams fired up. And it was nice because a lot of them were able to go out and research around Kilkenny and get some inspiration from Kilkenny and from the forests, that what's left of the forest around the environs and stuff like that. So that was what I thought was nice, was there was a workshop kind of atmosphere to it. It wasn't just me and Ross like dictating orders. There was kind of a sense of people bringing ideas to the table and bringing enthusiasm that even Ross and I mightn't have. Having grown up here in Kilkenny, you get a bit blasé about the beautiful, medieval streets and stuff. But whenever artists from all over the world come in and start bringing their enthusiasm and their inspiration to the table, it kind of gets us fired up again. So that's cool.
Yeah. And I noticed there was, as I was watching the credits, I noticed that there were particular, let's say persons of note, I'll say creatures of note, the wolf consultants.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're lucky enough in the studio that dogs are allowed in.
Okay.
So there's been a few dogs present here, like running around playing with toys and nibbling at your toes while you're working. From big to small, like there's one little guy, Gilbert, and he has the personality of like a tiger. And then there's one of the dogs, Hobbs, is a beautiful dog, and has a lot of wolf characteristics, I think, just in the mannerisms and that. So yeah, they're the consultants. We just encourage people to draw them and look at them for their behavior.
And to talk about the human characters, Maeve and Robyn, Bill, the Lord Protector. What was it like bringing the cast in and then, of course, designing these characters around the world, or at least within the world?
Yeah, I mean, you can see that like one of the things that we really like about hand-drawn animation is that you can adapt the characters to their environments, and so it all feels like one illustration. So the people in the town all have that woodblock print outline to them, and the way they're drawn is kind of geometric, like the backgrounds, and then the people in the forest and the animals in the forest are all sketchy and loose and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's part of the design of the characters. And then you would have a little bit of influence from the actors. Certainly Sean Bean was in our head when we were designing Bill Goodfellow. But then on the other hand, the amazing thing about animation is you can design characters that look nothing like the actors. So Simon McBurney plays the big burly and ugly Lord Protector, and Simon is able to lend his voice to a character that doesn't really look like him. So that's kind of interesting.
And the animators were provided with video reference of the actors delivering their lines too. So like they could look at like little Eva Whittaker from Maeve or Robyn, like in Honor Kneafsey's performance, and try and get some of the visual cues from the way that they delivered their lines, maybe the way that they were hunched over, or like, holding their chest out when they were being brave and things like that.
And, you speak there on Eva. Was she especially animated herself? Because Maeve is incredibly animated. She's completely over the top. Was Eva directed to be that way in the booth?
She didn't need much direction. She was a really amazing young person to meet, and she brought such amazing energy. And yeah, it was kind of crazy for us because we'd lived with the character for a long time, and one of the artists here in the studio had done like a temporary voice track. It was a woman doing an impersonation of a little girl, and it was perfect for what we needed. But once we had Eva in, the character really came to life because it was a real little girl, and we were able to bring that energy to the animation. And I know she was great. And when we first met her, she hadn't really done much acting, but by the end, she was showing us what an actor could be. She's a natural, really, and I think one of the things that attracted us to her just from the casting tape too was she has this kind of husky voice, as if she's been roaring all her life, like little Maeve would have been too, roaring at wolves.
And what about Honor? What was it about Honor that got you interested in having her play Robyn, or eyes and ears into this world?
Yeah, well, the thing is that we had a kind of a casting agent, Louise Keeley, our casting director, who was looking for the actors. And we had all these kind of audition tapes for the English girls because we couldn't meet them in person. And a lot of them were very talented. But once we saw Honor, it was amazing. Like, we didn't know anything about her, but she read in a Northern English accent. And we didn't realize she actually wasn't from the north of England, but she did a very good job of that. She just looked like the character, the way she held herself. Like, even if she wasn't physically that much like the design, she kind of held herself in such a way that it really felt like we were looking at Robyn. It was really exciting. I remember showing it to the other artists in the studio and going, oh my God, look at this little girl. She's so talented. And then when we Googled her and looked into her, we were, oh, okay, this is a young person who's been acting for a long time. And she was already at whatever, 11 or 12, kind of a veteran of all these like Netflix series and feature films, and had worked with Benedict Cumberbatch and Sherlock and everything. So we're like, okay, and we're dealing with the Meryl Streep of 11-year-olds here. We were really lucky to get her.
And the world it's visually sumptuous. What were the challenges in bringing it about? Because the use of color in the film is amazing, and especially when it comes to the vision of the wolves and that. Was there any challenges when trying to get your vision across when making this film? Because there's imagination and then there's actually putting it into practice, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the wolf vision, as you point out, was one of the bigger visual challenges. Tomm himself had an idea that it needed to be immersive, and it needed to be almost like a roller coaster ride, something so visually like splendid that when Robyn experiences it, that she can never go back to her normal day-to-day life in the town. So it had to be something really, really unique that would almost make the audience kind of sit up in their seats and go, oh wow, what's happening here? But we still couldn't exactly put our finger on what it should be. So we worked with Evan McNamara is his name. He's from studio Paper Panther Studios in Dublin, and they work with a lot of traditional media and really, really experimental in the animation that they do. So he came down and we kind of collaborated and threw out a few ideas, and he showed us some references of stuff that he thought it could be, and we kind of, all three of us kind of came together on a process where he would build the world in VR and then do a camera previs of that, and then print out every frame of that previs camera and then render it in pencil and charcoal, every single frame. Wow. So it's kind of like reverse engineering, like using the best of technology to come up with like the most traditional basics of media. And so we have stacks of paper downstairs now with with like every single page there's a fully rendered background and character in it. So it's quite impressive. But I think it needed to be for the Wolf Vision. It needs to really stand out from the rest of the show.
And guys, you know, we're unfortunately in lockdown, that people can't go really to the cinemas, but there are places that have been showing Wolfwalkers, luckily, and there's a support and the level of adoration of it has been phenomenal. How have you felt about that? Like, have you just experienced just people talking about it?
It's lovely to see the reactions online, of course, and it's very encouraging because so many artists put so much of their time and energy into it for so long. But we were looking up just before the latest restrictions came in. We had a screening here in Kilkenny where we showed about 1,000 people the movie, 50 people at a time, and that's really worth its weight in gold, because like the cinema experience can't really be replaced. And even if it was socially distanced and everything, the fact that people were able to sit in the cinema, be immersed in the sound, see the big screen, that was really lovely. And a lot of the crew and the cast and the musicians that were able to come to Kilkenny for it came down, and that was really meaningful, because that was a real life interaction, not just scraping Twitter looking for #WolfWalkers. But yeah, if people do get a chance to see it in the cinema, they should definitely do so. And like the release here in Ireland is for October 30th. You never know, the restrictions may have eased off by then. You know, maybe certain cinemas will still be open. We're working with Wildcard, and we're gonna definitely get it out there. And even if it's later, even if it's over Christmas and stuff, we're gonna release it in Irish cinemas so that people have the option to see it on the big screen, even if it's on TV Plus.
And finally, what do you hope audiences get out of Wolfwalkers? Because it is, like you said, it is a story that's very timely right now. So do you hope the cinema experience is for people who view it?
Well, like there's a strong environmental theme, definitely, and hopefully, like, you know, younger audiences, when they watch it, they'll realize the importance of preserving wild areas just for the sake of being wild areas. You know, not to see like a monetary benefit in it. But then there's the heart message too between Robyn and Maeve, in that like the person that you're told is your enemy and seems like your enemy, you know, once you live like they might, or once you walk in their shoes, you might see that there's so much that bonds you, that like so much in common. And I think that's really, really needed in today's society of polarization, where you're told to hate the other side so much, that really there's so much that should unite us, you know.
Well, guys, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thanks again for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.